Click over to budgetvapors.com to get some of my most favorite flavors in the entire industry for 15% off using my promo code GabeSentya. When you use my promo code over on Budget Vapors, you can get 120 milliliters of premium e-liquid for just $8.49. Also available on budgetvapors.com is my juice line. The Light Designs liquid line is available in 60 and 120 milliliter bottles. Both my juice line and the many delicious Budget Vapors flavors are developed in a high quality lab down in Florida. When you pick up my juice line or use my promo code, it really helps keep the Light Designs program going, so thank you all so much for helping support the channel. I really appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to be cleaning the carburetor in my 1991 KLR 650. Now this is a KLR 650 I just picked up a couple days ago, and I'm doing some work on it right now. Okay, so I have the carburetor out. If this is your first time taking apart a carb, you want to really keep track of what holes are what. So this is my gas feed right here, which goes into the bottom. This is a vacuum line, and then the other one is like an overflow. So you really want to keep track of that. So if you have an older bike, like today I'm working on a 1991, chances are your screws are going to be absolutely destroyed from years and years of people rebuilding the carburetor, because over time, especially if you let your bike sit, your carburetor needs to be rebuilt. So for instance, this screw over here is a disaster, and I'm not exactly positive what I'm going to do with that just yet, but I have a bunch of screw heads right there and various bits. I'm going to try and figure out a way to make it work. If not, what you can do is use a Dremel and cut a line into it and make it a flathead, which I hope I don't have to do, but I might have to do. You want to be really kind of precise with your movements with the screwdriver here, because it's super easy to strip these screws, like really easy to strip them. And then sometimes your screws are specific to like where they need to sit on the float bowl, so I just keep them in a line like that. You can also try and grab it with some pliers. This is an outside one, so it's possible that some pliers might work, but it's unlikely. But this is oh, no way. No way. Okay, so fortunately mine is a corner one right here where there's plenty of room. I grabbed it with pliers and that seemed to work. I'm gonna see if I have any screws laying around that I can replace it with, because I certainly wouldn't recommend putting this back in there. And just as I suspected, it doesn't look super good in here. It's not the worst carb I've ever seen, but it's not great. My idle jet on the bike really wasn't very good. So in a carburetor you have two jets. Okay, you have your main jet and you have your idle jet. Your idle jet's over here and your main jet's right here. And what they do is they send gas. They spray gas in here. And so at low speeds you're using your idle jet, which means like idling and low RPMs. And then at higher RPMs you use your main jet. So you loosen it up. This is your idle jet right here. It's got all these holes and stuff, and we'll get into that in just a second. I believe that's an 8mm. Yes, it is. Here's your main jet, like that. And so all these holes spray gas through it. So we're gonna clean all those out with some thread, or I use vape wire a lot of the time to clean it. And this is one of the reasons why this bike is puking gas, is our gasket is no good. So I'm just gonna pull that gasket out completely and get some gasket sealer from the store. Okay, and then this is your like float right here that goes inside your float bowl. I don't know, yeah, we're doing this semi-properly, so I guess I'm gonna take this out as well. There's a little shim that goes through that you can poke with a Allen wrench to get out, just like that. And it comes out. There you go. Here's your float, and there's a little pin right there. Okay, cool. So that's pretty broken down. We could do the top part, but I'm not going to do the top part because there's a rubber diaphragm in here that's a big pain. So this bike still runs pretty decent, but it just feels like it could use the carb clean. But if you want to get real crazy and rebuild it, you can do the top. You can risk really messing things up doing that, so I am not going to. So like if you take the top off, you probably want to have like a carburetor rebuild kit handy and just replace a lot of the parts, as opposed to just cleaning the parts and replacing the gasket. Carburetor cleaner and brake cleaner are the exact same thing. So depending on what's cheaper at your store, buy that. This is SuperTech carburetor cleaner from Walmart. All of it is pretty much the same, except for this SuperTech stuff smells really, really bad. So what I'm gonna do is hold it like this. I'm plugging up the end, and I'm gonna spray it in, and you can see it comes out. So that's what your gas does. So I'm just sending it, blasting any corrosion out of the holes, just like that. Looks pretty good. That actually looks really good. Spray it in. That looks pretty decent as well. I think there might have just been mild sediment in mine. Spray each one from both sides, you know, in case anything's stuck one direction. You don't want it to get all plugged up. And you want to spray carb cleaner in pretty much everything. Clean it out. All the holes you see, go ahead and clean it out. Watch your eyes. Clean out the bottom of the float bowl. That gets any sediment that's sitting on the bottom out. You can use like a toothbrush or something too if you wanted, but mine isn't really that bad. There's a lot of sediment in there, but it's not, mine's not the end of the world dirty. And I'm gonna fill this up and just kind of let them soak in here. Just get any kind of micro fibers or anything that could be causing any trouble. Just let it soak there. Oh yeah, that's right, the bottom of this leaks. Okay. Oh, and I spilled it all over my workbench. Okay, don't follow my tutorial. I'm just gonna let that chill for a while. I just realized that I have some automotive goop or shoe glue, which is exactly the same thing, laying around. So I'm gonna try a little bit of an experiment. It's pretty easy to take the carb out of this if it doesn't work. So let's try. Let's see how automotive goop holds up to rebuilding a carburetor. So I'm gonna take the old gasket, and you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to put the goop around the edge, right? Around the edge. There we go. So I have some as if I was doing a normal gasket, and I'm actually going to put the old gasket in here because I don't feel confident of shoe goo's durability against gasoline. So I am gonna put the ripped factory gasket back in just in case. Okay, so that's pretty well lined up like that. And you don't want any on the inside. Make everything snug. You don't have to kill the bolts on this. I've never used shoe glue for rebuilding a carburetor before, but I know shoe glue and automotive goop are the exact same thing. So let's give it a try. Make sure that there are no areas that are missed. I'm gonna give this a really decent amount of time before I run any fuel through it. So most carburetors are directional, so there's only one way it goes back together, and it's important that it goes back together in that way. I had made that mistake in the past when I was still new to building stuff. And so there we go. I'm gonna give it a nice solid squish. It's lined up how it should be lined up. And then we'll try it. So this is the bad screw that I didn't end up fixing. This is a good screw. We'd recommend putting the screws for this in kind of like how you would with lug nuts. or use a directional pattern. So now I'm just gonna give this quite a few hours and just kind of let it do its thing, and hopefully it's resistant to the gas. I have thoughts and opinions that it might not be, but we'll give it a shot. But it appears that the shoe glue is actually holding up to the gas, and we aren't having any leakings. Okay, so here we go. If you ever wanted to know, is shoe glue a viable option for rebuilding a carburetor? I would say yes. So go get you some.